Hey everyone, and welcome to Cozying Up with a Clear Cut, where we get up close and personal with women that inspire us. Today, I'm so excited to sit down with Desiree Verdejo. She is the founder of Hyperskin, a clean beauty brand that focuses on serving a wide range of skin tones and dark spots. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I know. I'm so excited. I feel like I see Hyperskin everywhere. Like, you guys are blowing up.
That's the goal.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Huge fan. I would love to learn a little bit more about your founder journey and your founder story, because I know that you've had a big career shift before. You were not always in beauty, right?
Yeah, I've definitely had a few pivots in my life. I started out my career as an attorney, practiced for many years at a big law firm in New York City. So
Very different.
Very different. My day-to-day today looks very different than it did then. But I've always loved beauty, and I've actually always struggled with my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kept me,
No worries.
And so because of that, I was always like paying attention to skincare, ingredients, brands, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for a long time, I just considered it a hobby.
Yeah.
I never really thought of it as something that I would make a career out of.
So what was the moment that, or like the progression of when you realized that it wasn't just like a hobby or something that you did for wellness on the side, but something that you wanted to dedicate like your career to and make that shift?
Yeah, I think it was a slow journey, but I was very excited. I want to say in like the 2010s, 20 teens, I don't know what we're calling that. About at that time, it was like the hair industry and the natural hair industry for Black women. I saw it exploding, and I think I was paying so much attention to the growth of those brands, and I realized like, wow, this is a really interesting area and one where I, have a unique voice. But my first venture into beauty was through a boutique. I opened a boutique in New York City.
Wow.
Like a boutique curated with the needs of people of color in mind. And so we had like skincare, hair care, and cosmetics. And that was very driven by seeing the explosion of the textured hair industry. But even in that space, I was like, there are so many unique needs for deeper skin tones. And they're just not being addressed. And I'm not even like seeing my face in the visuals. I'm not seeing my skin type. Everyone's skin is perfect in the marketing, and like that's great and aspirational, but like I want to see a pimple. I want to see some sort of scarring, something that looks like what I see when I look in the mirror. And so I was happy to be in the beauty space, but I was still like, no, there's still a story to tell that hasn't been told.
So you had a boutique, and that was your first, like, what made you decide to quit your job as a lawyer and be like, I'm going to open up a beauty boutique?
So it's so funny when I have these conversations, because it sounds very smooth, but it really took me about 2 years to make that jump. I just wasn't excited. I wasn't excited about what I was doing. And on the side, I was just so driven by building this company. And so at the time, I was like looking at spaces on my weekends, and I was writing lists of the brands I would carry in the boutique if I opened a boutique. And before I knew it, I was like, this is a business plan. This is an unofficial business plan. And I think the same thing happens with Hyper. I was in my boutique at the time, and I struggled with keeping the boutique and opening a brand. Yeah. But I realized that once I started Hyper, I just wanted to tell one story, and I wouldn't do the other brands justice. But the same thing happened. I was just like researching and focusing on this business that I wish existed, and I realized I was building it.
So can you tell us a little bit about Hyper and the inspiration behind it?
Yeah. So Hyper stands for hyper targeted skincare, and so we are targeting these like underaddressed concerns in the market. And the first issue that we are speaking to is like breakout prone and dark spots.
Those are my problems.
Right. There are so many people's problems, and I feel like for some reason they've just not been censored in the beauty space. And so we started there because that's the number one concern of anyone with a skin tone deeper than tan. And so it just made a lot of sense. It's also my number one skincare concern. So I knew I could speak to it. I knew it just was very personal to me. And now we're, excited to speak to other issues. But Hyper is all about hyper targeting skincare and having like products that are results oriented, but that spark joy. Because as someone that has had like acne prone skin and all of these skincare concerns, I feel like my skincare shelf hasn't always been like the fun, beautiful, joy filled shelf. And so wanting to bring the two together, because I think skincare is something like really special for a lot of people. And I think that if you have a concern, it should still be that.
So what were like the first steps that you took when you decided, I think I want to create a product or a line?
I think my first step, I had already had a strong sense of ingredients for the first issues I wanted to tackle. And so it was really finding a lab and finding a chemist. And obviously their perspective and their thoughts on ingredients was just as important as mine. And so someone that had the same, because you can easily quote unquote find a chemist, but someone that had the same perspective as me, which was clinical, effective, but also a balance. Because I think a lot of times when you have skin struggles, you do the most. You're like really harsh.
Yes. It's like, I want it to burn.
I want it to burn. I want the highest actives. And I'd done that to myself already on the personal side. So I wanted a chemist that understood balance. And so finding a chemist was like one of like the most important step for me to really, move things along. I think on the marketing side, I already had like strong perspectives. I'd been surrounded by brands. So when it came to like packaging and naming and all of these things, I think that was sort of a me journey. But the lab was something where I like needed someone else that could offer me something that I couldn't get started,
So from like the first spark of an idea till like launch, like how long did that take? Because sometimes it can be like, oh, I had an idea and, it kind of just like happens.
It was another 2-year journey. It was another, and it was not overnight. I mean, I think it took about a year for the products alone to be developed. So we went through, our hero product is our dark spot serum. I think we went through, I want to say, now it's 8 or 11. Before I knew the number really sharply, but we went through multiple rounds of this serum, and a lot of testing groups. So that alone was like a 1-year journey. And then I also have children. I had like a baby along the way, so I gave myself a maternity leave. It was a lot, but it was like a 2-year journey from I think we should do this to it's in the world.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I know, because it can seem like some things just happen like overnight, but there's so much work.
Everything seems easy when people are. That's why I like to emphasize the length of time.
Yeah.
Because I listen to so many journeys, and it just sounds like everything happened overnight.
Yeah.
And it rarely does.
How? I mean, this is kind of off topic, but like, how were you able to like balance or manage like creating like a family and having a baby and like creating this other baby, this company?
It was messy. Yeah, it still is, but
but it's possible.
It's possible, as long as you don't expect it to look a certain way. It's possible. I mean, I remember
in New York City.
Yeah. I remember meeting with other founders. I think we'd already launched into the world or immediately pre-launch, and I like had my baby like in the carrier, and I'd meet at the time it was like a women's co-working space, and I like had my like 3, 4, 5, 6 month old baby with me, because sometimes that's how it looks. But I think there's something really nice about the flexibility of owning your own schedule, and there's something really messy about it, and I've always embraced that. It is like a privilege and one of the toughest parts of it all.
Yeah, I mean, it scares the living hell out of me.
It shouldn't scare you, though, as long as you embrace. But I think because you're a founder first, you already know that life is crazy. And once you've accepted that, then just throw the kids in.
Yeah,
with it.
That's true.
If that's the path.
It's just like even more lack of control.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So once you had your perfect product formulated, like everything ready to go, and you launch, what were like some of the biggest challenges that came with, creating your own skincare brand? There's so many out there. Like, how did you like differentiate yourself and, kind of get recognized?
I mean, what is the biggest challenge? There's so many challenges, and I think they still exist. I think at every stage, finding people
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge challenge. I did a lot on my own because we were self-funded, and so I was the social media manager, the this manager, the that manager, and that is not sustainable. I say that, but I also, if anyone asks for advice, I always like to say that as soon as you can pass on certain tasks, do that so that you can really focus on where your strengths lie. But I think finding a team and finding building up to the resources to have a team, those were like the two biggest challenges: resources, and then just surrounding yourself with the right people. And I think at every stage of growth, I'm looking around and I'm like, we need more people, we need more money.
Yes.
So it hasn't changed.
No, yeah, I always say, like, everyone's like, oh, is it easier the bigger you get? It's like, no, you just have like new challenges. It's not easier, it's just like completely new challenges, but they're not like easier challenges.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I feel like you have like your products have such a cult following and people really love them. So how did you get that virality or that community built around it?
Yeah, I think we definitely had an organic launch, and I know that doesn't mean much, but we did a lot of gifting to people that would just appreciate our products. Mm-hmm. We reached out to press, but we reached out to editors where I realized I was in the beauty space and I hadn't had the perfect dark spot treatments. And so I think I had the confidence that, for example, editors in New York with deeper skin tones might appreciate what was missing. And so I just prioritized people that I thought would get it, whether they were influencers and editors. And I think initially what benefited us was that people just got it. They were excited about it. And so it wasn't paid press. It wasn't paid, influencer partnerships. It was just organic enthusiasm. And I don't think you can match that.
No.
And so I think we launched with that energy, and then the rest of the, world kind of felt that enthusiasm. And I can't think of a better way to launch, But I think that's what gave us the initial buzz, was that people were genuinely excited that it was like a straightforward product, straightforward name. It works, it, feels good, it looks good. And I think that organic enthusiasm is hard to, you can't buy it. You can't replicate it.
The authenticity is the best thing to do, because especially in such a crowded space right now with people just influencing anything. It's I'll scroll and I'll be like, I used to get influenced by people, but now I'm like, I know you're getting paid to say
this. Yeah. And I think what was clear was that we weren't working with anyone. We were just, gifting. We were gifting people.
Yeah.
But what was being said was incredibly authentic, and I think that set the tone for the brand. And I feel like people kind of sort of copy what's out there, and so people are like, I want to try it and test it.
Yeah, totally. Because if someone else loves it, I want to.
Yeah. So that's where we started.
Okay. So when people started authentically loving it and you had this amazing community, do you have any pivotal moments that were oh wow, I'll remember this moment, this really took the company to the next level, or any things to look back on being I'm really proud of accomplishing this? You know what?
Yes. But I do think that I should say that sometimes it's really hard to appreciate those moments.
Yes. I think that's one of the hardest things. There's so many high highs and so many low lows, but you
focus on
the lows more than the highs. Yeah.
You focus on the lows, and they often happen on the same day and at the same time. But I think we set out, and I gave myself 6 months to sort of figure out the world before talking to retailers. And around that 6-month mark, we had a DM from Sephora.
A DM?
In the DMs.
Oh my God.
And I was very happy about it. Anytime you want to slide in Sephora, please do. And that was really the moment. We started talking to, we have a few other niche retailers like Revolve and Urban Outfitters. And so I think when those were flowing in, I was like, oh wait, people are noticing us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, nothing that has been the hugest thing for us.
So that DM led to
us ultimately launching in Sephora.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're in 250 Sephora stores. We launched online first about a year ago, and then we launched a few months ago.
Oh my
in
God,
250
congratulations.
Sephoras. Thank you. Yeah, but that was the hugest thing. And again, speaking to the fact that it was 6 months into our business, it took us about a year before we got into Sephora because nothing happens overnight. But I think just that recognition that like, wow, Sephora, I'm such a Sephora girl.
Me too.
Like my rouge is very rouge. Like it is very strong. So I felt like a retailer with these amazing brands, like appreciating what we're building, like that meant so much to me. That was a very cool tap.
Yeah, that's incredible. So you mentioned you started it without any capital. Are you still like completely bootstrapped?
So we actually have raised friends and family from angel investments. So we don't yet have any like blue chip VCs.
Right.
But as I just mentioned, we are in Sephora, and if anyone knows anything about retail, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely considering and strategizing on when we would fundraise again at that level and bring on the right partnership. So yeah, again, like people and capital are the things that are always in demand.
Do you have any advice for someone who may be kind of at that point in their career where they, might want to take that leap of faith to start their own thing, but they're not quite sure? Any pros and cons or words of wisdom?
Well, I think, there's a lot that, because I can recall being in my office as an attorney and building a business, I always like to tell people, first of all, don't jump ship immediately. Like, do as much as you can while you have the comfort of whatever your environment is. But there's so much that you can be doing in terms of like building community, if you're fundraising, like building those relationships, researching, even like developing your product, whatever, or if that is the arena it's in. I think just do as much as you can do and try to network as much as possible, and build community. I think in this day and age, we launched to, I think, 10,000 followers, but it would have been great to launch to 10,000 more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, having people enthusiastic about what you're launching on launch day is amazing. And so I think there are just so many things like community and networking and fundraising and building in the back end that you can be doing, and that can make your day-to-day like more exciting. And so I always encourage people to do as much as they can before they jump ship, but when it's time, you'll know. I think it's life is going to tell you when it's time, and when your business needs you completely, and when your business is at a level of success that you can like support yourself fully in the next era. And so just stay in tune with that, but there's a lot that you can do before you jump ship.
And I think what's like cool about Hyper and special about Hyper is that you had this strong community and you were addressing a specific problem that you knew there wasn't like a solution for. Like, I think a lot of companies, the issue is you're like, okay, I'm going to like start this company. I'm going to like buy a bunch of followers and like everything. Right. I'm going to raise a bunch of money and then like success will come. But if you're not like addressing a specific need for a specific group of people that are into it, then it doesn't matter. All those businesses fail no matter how much money you have because, there isn't that passion behind it.
There's no amount of like ads you can spend for a problem that no one cares about. Right?
Exactly.
So yes, I think that's very true. I think having that engaged, enthusiastic audience is everything. And so if you can spend time pinpointing that audience and that problem and proving it and building towards that, I think, that's where you start.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched upon this earlier, like how with every stage in your business, there are like different challenges that come. At first it's like creating, your formula, like getting into retail. Now, obviously people and capital, but are there any like challenges in this growth phase that you're facing?
I wouldn't say challenges, but I would say for me, like being in retail is a huge change. It's like a second business to learn and to navigate. And so I think that's what like keeps me up at night, like retail and learning that machine, because we are this small, lean indie brand, but like communicating with a retailer the size of Sephora, it's just everything is very different. The way you communicate. You know, I'm like, oh, I have an idea. I'll chat with my team, and then I like create a deck for Sephora. I have to like go back to my corporate roots. And so I think navigating that world and growing in that world is like the biggest challenge right now. And it's a great challenge, but it really is, I think, a big and complicated one.
So what are some of your favorite products that you've launched since launching your hero product?
Okay, yeah. So we launched, after our dark spot serum, we launched, I don't want to say my favorite product because I know I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, that's fine.
But we launched...
A bestseller.
Yeah, we launched an exfoliating mask. It's called the Fade and Glow AHA mask. And it has mandelic acid. I don't know if you're a skincare junkie, but mandelic acid is kind of like glycolic acid.
I love glycolic acid.
Right, but it's more gentle. So it does all of the exfoliating, gets rid of the dead skin. So you get the brightening, but it's more gentle, and it's also great for dark spots and great if you have breakout prone skin. I'm obsessed with the ingredient. And that has been amazing. We won like Allure Best of Beauty with that launch.
Congratulations.
And it just is generally like one of my favorite products to use because it kind of slows me down. Like I use it in the morning and like a couple of times a week, and just kind of like I like commit to a slow morning with it. And then obviously I'm brighter like after I use it. So yeah, that has been an amazing launch. And I'm excited to launch more products. We have some stuff coming later this year, but it's a little too early to talk about it. But yeah, excited to tackle breakouts and hyperpigmentation, but we have products addressing some other areas coming up. So just excited to broaden the conversation because I think for years there have been so many concerns that have been considered niche, and I'm excited to like bring them to the forefront.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like hyperpigmentation and like breakouts are totally not niche.
Not
like,
niche.
Yeah.
So
because like I feel like a lot of people struggle with that.
I think acne has always been front and center. I think that combination of how acne affects deeper skin tones versus lighter skin tones hasn't been censored. But I think for years I was always like vitamin C and like doing a hodgepodge of like ingredients to get to dark spots, and I didn't have like this go-to. I don't think my aunts had like a go-to product, and so it's exciting how the landscape is changing. Like even since we've launched, I think the landscape in terms of like skincare for deeper skin tones and from a multicultural perspective, it's so much more broad than it was when we launched late 2019. Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of new companies in this space, and it's been really exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Switching gears a little bit, because we are a jewelry company, and you know, we love jewelry because, you know, it can have like an extra sentimental or special meaning. Do you have any pieces of jewelry that are extra special to you or that have a emotional tie? So do you have any pieces of jewelry that are extra special or sentimental to you?
Yeah, so I inherited my grandmother's jewelry, and I love her anniversary band. So she was married for many years, and I remember her always wearing like this very like plain like gold band. But I recall I was already like a teenager, and she got like her upgraded like anniversary bands, and I absolutely love that. I wear it sometimes, and then when I wear it I get nervous because I don't want anything to happen to it. But I just love I love that she receives it, and I love that I have it.
Oh my god, that's the best part. I love when, you know, pieces of jewelry become heirlooms and you can pass them on from generation to generation. And we'll even do like resets sometimes if, you know, you want to use the stones, but it's kind of like,
that's very sweet.
Awesome. That's so cute. So what can we expect from Hyper in the next 5-10 years?
Oh my gosh.
What are your goals and aspirations?
I want to say my 10-year goal is for Hyper to be a household name. I want, and I am excited to, like right now we started very niche, I think, as indie brands do, but just very excited to be known as the brand that is tackling the concerns that are pressing to our customer base. And so, yeah, really excited to be just the brand that comes to mind when your skin needs something like results oriented, and sorry. I just
no worries.
drew a blank. Because I forgot what was I saying. Need something results oriented. And when your skin is at its best. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, where can we shop, follow, all of those good things?
So very easy. Hyper is at hyperskin.com and at Sephora. So if you're a Sephora person, go there. And then you can follow along with us on Hyperskin. We love TikTok and Instagram. So yeah, that's all the Hyper stuff. And I'm at Desiree.Verdejo. If you
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
I'm Olivia Landau, founder of The Clear Cut, and you just listened to Cozying Up, where we feature women that inspire us. You can tune into episodes wherever you listen to your favorite shows and find us on social media at The Clear Cut.